blizzard stopping us, we work.
As the countdown to his highly anticipated showdown with Canelo Alvarez continues, Terence Crawford has jumped back into training far earlier than anyone expected. But it's not just the early start that's raising eyebrows. Crawford is clearly pushing himself harder than ever to prepare for this massive fight. His latest training footage might be the most intense and demanding we've seen from him so far. It isn't just about lifting weights or performing neck exercises. Terence Crawford is boosting both his power and technical prowess as he strives to become only the third fighter to ever hand Canelo Alvarez a defeat inside the ring. A recent video of Crawford's training confirmed an earlier update from Turkey Alakshik, who revealed that Crawford had picked up an injury but was back in action without delay. Fans have been left in awe of Crawford's phenomenal physical condition as he readies himself for the challenge ahead. Known for his flawless record and extraordinary boxing ability, Terence Crawford continues to serve as a shining testament to the impact of relentless training and meticulously planned physical conditioning.
Good round, good.
What lies behind Terence Crawford's extraordinary success is a combination of grueling training secrets and an unforgiving routine that has shaped him into one of boxing's modern legends. Central to his preparation for the clash with Canelo Alvarez is a broad spectrum of training methods designed to fine-tune his boxing arsenal while keeping him at the pinnacle of athletic performance. What's known and repeatedly witnessed about Crawford inside the ropes is nothing short of astonishing. As one of just 3 current fighters to hold undisputed titles in 2 weight classes, he boasts the rare gift of throwing precise jabs and thunderous punches with equal skill from either hand.
Deep breath. Keep doing what you're doing. Just using that jab good. Using that jab good.
With an impressive tally of 41 fights, 41 wins, and 31 knockouts, along with an unrelenting hunger to capitalize when his opponents show weakness, Terence Crawford has established himself as a dominant force in the boxing world. Now 36 years old, Crawford is determined to sustain elite performance as he edges closer to his late 30s. For his previous 3 bouts, he has partnered with renowned conditioning and nutritional expert Victor Conti to elevate his training to unparalleled levels. As Crawford prepares to step up in weight for his eagerly awaited showdown later this year, his physical fitness and supreme conditioning remain the bedrock of his mission to solidify his place in boxing history. Kent, one of the key members of Crawford's team, described the progress as nothing less than exceptional. Since I began working with Terence, this marks our 4th fight. Our collected data and blood analysis show this is the best shape he's ever achieved, Kent revealed. I would honestly call it superhuman. Throughout this camp, Crawford has maintained close coordination with his team while training in the high-altitude setting of Colorado Springs, Colorado, perched at 6,700 feet above sea level. The tangible results of this demanding training environment are reflected in the elite fitness levels he showcases consistently, which have helped him conquer champions such as Errol Spence Jr., Sean Porter, and Kell Brook, among others.
Well, yeah, the fighters that I work with, I do not encourage them to do any road work. If they do, I try to keep it down to once.
Kent explains that transitioning back to sea level from altitude training can momentarily disrupt an athlete's physiology, causing short-term dips in fitness markers. To counter this, Crawford's team has meticulously recalibrated his body after the intense sessions in Colorado. There's a rebound effect, and performance metrics climb back to 8, 9, 10, or even 11. The timing of benefits from Colorado Springs is orchestrated to ensure peak performance, Kent elaborated. While Crawford trains in Los Angeles, he has been utilizing an oxymask, a specialized device designed to provide what Kent refers to as superoxygenation. Breaking down the science, Kent explained, normally, at sea level, you breathe 20.9% oxygen. Terence's open-style mask allows him to inhale 68% oxygen, enhancing his recovery capacity and maximizing his performance output.
And the reason is you're developing slow twitch muscle fiber when you do tempo type long distance road work.
Here's the scientific principle. Red blood cells, equipped with hemoglobin, act as the seats on a bus, transporting oxygen and essential nutrients to the muscles. Human blood consists of roughly 55% plasma, the liquid portion, and 45% red blood cells. Once hemoglobin is fully saturated with oxygen, any surplus oxygen spills over into the plasma, a phenomenon known as superoxygenation. So how do you replicate the benefits of altitude without relocating? Through advanced technology. Kent has poured years of dedication into refining these innovative methods after moving past a notorious chapter in his life. Over 2 decades ago, his Balco facility in the Bay Area was raided by federal authorities for its involvement in steroid development. Balco's clientele included Olympic legends like Marion Jones and Tim Montgomery, boxing star Shane Mosley, home run record holder Barry Bonds, and many other elite athletes. Today, Kent has redirected his knowledge towards pioneering legal, cutting-edge athletic training and recovery solutions.
Genetically, there's obvious variation, but you're about 50% slow, 50% fast. The type of training that you do can make you 80% fast.
After serving a 4-month sentence in a minimum security federal prison, Victor Conti embraced a fresh start and built a thriving career with his company, SNAC. Specializing in legal athletic conditioning, sleep optimization, and recovery supplementation, SNAC now works with some of boxing's brightest stars, including Devin Haney, Demetrius Andrade, and Claressa Shields. Through the use of superoxygenation technology, Conti affirms that Terence Crawford is reaching the highest levels of oxygen-driven recovery possible. In his hotel room, Crawford uses an oxy mask featuring a diffuser that delivers oxygen-enriched air directly through his nostrils and mouth. He inhales 68% oxygen, Conti explained, and exhales metabolic byproducts like lactic acid, ammonia, and carbon dioxide. This process purges the system of waste, dramatically improving recovery and enhancing performance. Speaking about his exceptional physical condition, Crawford shared, "I feel like I'll be stronger and have more energy. I won't need to cut those extra 7 pounds, so it'll take less of a toll on my body. I'm ready. I'm feeling amazing, and I'm in a good place right now." The extraordinary outcomes of Crawford's preparation are backed by detailed blood work and real-time sensors monitoring key physical indicators such as heart rate, circulation, breathing rhythm, hydration status, and oxygen saturation. His heart beats 1/3 slower than the average person's, and his resting breath rate is exceptionally efficient. "What impresses me most is how composed he is. I've never seen him this calm," Victor Conti observed. Between rounds, his heart rate will drop swiftly, and he'll head back out rejuvenated every time. "He's the most scientifically prepared fighter I've ever witnessed." Kent stressed, "The foundation of success lies in both training and recovery. You must provide sufficient time for recovery, and that's where technology and monitoring come in. We're applying science to boxing. This is no longer the old-school way." Kent guaranteed that Crawford's weight cut for the official weigh-in would be effortless. "It's like landing a jumbo jet, the smoothest cut he's ever had. That's the power of science. We'll hit the target weight flawlessly," he said. Terence might very well be the most scientifically advanced fighter the sport has ever seen. Such meticulous preparation could prove decisive if Crawford can crown it by defeating Canelo decisively, possibly setting the stage for a remarkable conclusion to his career. Kent added, "Crawford can comfortably reach 168 pounds within just 3 months, and he's prepared to showcase that in the ring."
Moving that jab up and down, and then when you go downstairs, take that downstairs, come back with the left hook. It's gonna be open.
"We'll need 3 months to properly promote the fight, so we have plenty of time," Kent confirmed. "I have a team of highly skilled professionals dedicated to increasing his caloric intake and developing type 2B fast-twitch muscle fibers. These are essential for explosive bursts of speed and power. It's not about endless running or distance work, it's all about sprint intervals and weight training. That's the blueprint for facing Canelo." However, Kent emphasized that their focus is strictly on the present. "You can't think about Step B until Step A is secured. Believe me, Terence runs the show. He gives me the green light to proceed, and he's incredibly sharp. He understands how every piece fits together. He's fully committed and has been an absolute pleasure to collaborate with because he listens and takes it all in. Alongside his exceptional team of coaches and specialists, Crawford is also receiving guidance from three-division world champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer James Toney, who is eager to lend his wisdom to Crawford's preparation.
With Crawford's recent win, he's been asking for Canelo. He'll beat Canelo.
Speaking to Mill City Boxing, the seasoned 92-fight veteran, who, like Canelo Alvarez, was never stopped during his illustrious career, expressed confidence that he could teach Terence Crawford the keys to scoring a knockout victory. "If that fight happens, it would be massive," he declared. "I'd return to camp with Crawford and personally show him how to do it right. I respect BAC, but if he can't help Crawford, I'll make sure the job gets done. That head will be cooked, fish fried, and ribs sizzling." He went on to say, "Canelo can absolutely be knocked out, he's not unbeatable. He's not James Toney. He's nowhere near my league. He doesn't even deserve to carry my bag." Toney has made his position clear over the years, consistently rejecting any comparisons between his own success at super middleweight and Canelo's accomplishments in the same division.
He could potentially
Same thing. Same thing. Trust me.
Terence Crawford, however, fully understands the magnitude of the challenge he faces and remains determined to press forward to further solidify his already impressive legacy. Former unified welterweight champion Keith Thurman offered insight into why the much-anticipated clash with Canelo Alvarez has yet to materialize, suggesting a possible reason for Canelo's reluctance. In an interview with Fight Hype TV, Thurman recounted a moment from years ago when Canelo made a revealing remark about the idea of facing Crawford. "I recall Canelo saying he didn't want to take on Crawford because it reminded him of the Amir Khan fight," Thurman shared, alluding to the tricky challenge of facing a smaller, faster, and technically gifted opponent like Crawford.
Crawford's been calling out Canelo, and Canelo now is being rumored to be chasing Beterbiev. So I guess my question for you is, do you think
Canelo Alvarez previously squared off against former unified light welterweight champion Amir Khan back in May 2016, defending his WBC middleweight title. At that time, Khan, naturally a welterweight, moved up 2 weight divisions to face Canelo at middleweight, paralleling the situation that would unfold if Terence Crawford were to challenge Alvarez. Thurman elaborated, suggesting that just like with the Khan bout, Canelo sees minimal upside in fighting Crawford. "When you're up against the smaller guy, there's not a lot to gain," Thurman explained. "Even if he wins, it doesn't add much to his resume. It doesn't say anything significant.
chase glory at 175, become undisputed, and take that route, or give this fight to Bud, the smaller man, which could be a bigger..."
Although Canelo Alvarez utterly dominated Amir Khan and delivered a devastating 6th-round knockout, the post-fight reaction was far from glowing. Critics and fans alike accused Canelo of hand-picking an easy opponent, and even before the bout, many had already deemed it a mismatch due to the stark weight difference between the fighters. Keith Thurman acknowledged both the determination behind Terence Crawford's pursuit and the skepticism surrounding the fight's likelihood. He argued that Canelo, given his current status and legacy, has the luxury to chart his own path. "When you've built that kind of legacy, you have the right to choose your own course," Thurman said. He's earned the position to decide what's next for his career.
What route do you think he should go?
Nah, man. I mean, when we talk Canelo, I mean, you're talking about like the Mexican king, you know? So when you talk Canelo...
According to Thurman, Canelo Alvarez maintains a similar stance regarding Terence Crawford, to the extent that he has previously taken subtle digs at Crawford, even advising him to remain at 147 pounds. Yet Thurman's view doesn't entirely hold water, as Crawford had already addressed concerns about the weight gap well before the scheduled Canelo Alvarez vs. Edgar Berlanga fight in September. Discussing the issue during an appearance on Sean Porter's The Porter Way podcast, Crawford highlighted Canelo's own history of setting custom catch weights. Canelo fought smaller fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Amir Khan, and even Jermall Charlo, Crawford pointed out. "If I'm supposedly such an easy fight because of the weight, then why would Canelo demand $150 million just to face me?"
And when you talk about kings in the division, kings do what kings do, you know? So whatever he wants to do, man, that's how it is. You know, his last...
Crawford brushed aside Canelo's argument as nothing more than an excuse, asserting, "I'm a threat to his legacy." While boxing history has shown us that anything is possible in the sport, the likelihood of a Terence Crawford vs Canelo Alvarez showdown appears remote at the moment. With Bob Arum already advocating for a bout between Canelo and Artur Beterbiev in the coming year, it remains uncertain who Canelo will ultimately choose to defend his legacy against next.
That's just what you're going to see out of Canelo. But the beauty is, we get such a beautiful skill set of boxing poise.
Conversely, Leonard Ellerbe, CEO of Mayweather Promotions, sees a more straightforward and marketable route for Canelo Alvarez. In his opinion, a high-profile clash between Canelo and David Benavidez carries far greater appeal than a bout with Terence Crawford, despite Crawford's clear interest in making the fight happen. Ellerbe believes Benavidez represents the more lucrative and fan-friendly option. Ellerbe insists that the idea of Canelo squaring off against Benavidez has captured the imagination of fans and the boxing world alike. His reasoning is tied to the anticipation, stylistic intrigue, and overall buzz that such a matchup would generate, potentially outshining the draw of a Crawford fight.
Him and Terence Crawford now. Crawford calling him out, saying he'll go to 68.
I really don't want to comment too much on that.
Leonard Ellerbe further emphasized that a blockbuster meeting between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez would spark greater excitement and anticipation across the boxing landscape. A growing number of fans believe that Benavidez could emerge as the fighter to truly test Canelo and perhaps even dethrone him from his super middleweight reign. The build-up between the two has been steadily growing, with Benavidez calling for the fight long before his clash with Caleb Plant and prior to Crawford's ascension to undisputed welterweight champion. Although talk of a Canelo vs Benavidez showdown wasn't widespread in the past, the uncertainty will soon come to an end. Canelo Alvarez is scheduled to announce his next opponent during a televised broadcast on Mexican network Azteca, set for February 15th at noon.
Terence is a terrific fighter. He's pound for pound,
Canelo Alvarez is currently shaping the next chapter of his storied career, and while many fans are hoping this journey will eventually lead to a showdown with David Benavidez, recent reports point in a different direction. According to these reports, Canelo is now set to face Jermall Charlo in an eagerly awaited undisputed super middleweight title clash. The fight is scheduled for May 4th in Las Vegas, perfectly aligning with the traditional Cinco de Mayo weekend, a staple of Canelo's biggest boxing events. The announcement has fueled intense speculation among fans about who Canelo would ultimately select for such a high-profile occasion.
He wants to do. He knows what he's aspiring to do, what he wants to do in his career. Hope he gets to fight. It's not just that easy to say that you want to fight.
A variety of names, including Terence Crawford, David Benavidez, and William Smith, had been swirling around as possible opponents for Canelo Alvarez. However, the latest updates from the ring confirm that Jermall Charlo will be the one stepping into the ring with Canelo this May. Jermall will be looking to avenge the defeat his twin brother Jermall Charlo suffered at the hands of Alvarez. When asked whether a Canelo vs Crawford fight could generate more revenue than a potential Benavidez matchup, Leonard Ellerbe gave a firm response: "No, I know the numbers, I know the business. No, it's not bigger. This isn't about who deserves the fight, this is strictly business." The Benavidez vs Canelo fight compared to Crawford vs Canelo, there's simply no comparison.
You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't happen like that. And I don't have nothing to do with any of that, but I'm just saying that. But if that's what he wants to do, I support.
Terence Crawford has undeniably established himself as one of the elite fighters in the sport. His record and performances speak for themselves. But as Leonard Ellerbe pointed out, the business side of boxing tells a different story. He cited an example: while both Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are outstanding fighters, and despite Errol being his guy, the biggest money fight in boxing wasn't Spence vs Crawford, it was always Tank Davis vs Ryan Garcia. Even though Spence vs Crawford was the most anticipated fight in the sport for the last 6 or 7 years, with two undefeated champions in their prime, the financial results painted a different picture. That bout generated only half the revenue Tank's fight did. Ellerbe highlighted that the economics of boxing involve understanding market forces, piracy issues, and fan appeal. Success isn't just about skill, it's about knowing the business and making the right moves accordingly.
I mean, you know, I'm not one of them people that says that, oh, he's in over his head kind of thing. I would never say that. He's a terrific.
We're not in a position where we can just throw money around recklessly, Ellerbe explained. There's a certain promoter who doesn't seem to care about that, but we're focused on making smart, calculated decisions. Sometimes that leads to fights the public may not fully agree with, but there's always a strategy behind every move we make and a long-term vision at play. Ellerbe expressed excitement about the upcoming fight card launching on Amazon Prime. It's going to be an incredible lineup of exciting fights. No, it's not the all-star team, but these are competitive matchups, and we're expecting a strong response and solid backing from boxing fans.
What would Leonard Ellerbe, the boxing fan and the boxing mind, the man who's made so much money in this business, what would he...
When pressed on who he would favor in a hypothetical clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Leonard Ellerbe admitted, "I haven't really given it much thought, but if you're asking strictly from a business point of view, the Benavidez fight is far bigger. It's a much more significant event, without question." Speaking with Marcos Vasquez of Fight Hub TV, Sean Porter shared his concerns about Crawford moving up 2 weight classes to face someone as powerful as Canelo. "I'm worried about how he'd absorb Canelo's punches, especially across 12 grueling rounds," Porter remarked.
12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo, he's going to slow down. So I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets late.
Porter offered a thoughtful breakdown, suggesting that Canelo would likely start fast, using his trademark aggression and physicality to wear Crawford down. However, Porter believes that as the bout moves into the later rounds, Canelo, much like in many of his recent fights, might begin to slow, creating an opening for Crawford to seize control. That said, Porter remained cautious about making a firm prediction. "There are so many different elements that define a champion," he explained. "We could talk for an hour about all the factors that make Terence Crawford the fighter he is. It's not a simple equation."
And he still got that kind of steam, but, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend.
Sean Porter, who knows Crawford firsthand after being stopped by him in the 10th round of their welterweight title clash, disagrees with the popular belief that Canelo Alvarez holds the clear upper hand. In an interview with Fight Hype, Porter argued that Crawford brings more to the table than just technical skill. "You need to move beyond just thinking about power," Porter insisted. "Boxing is about intelligence, athleticism, speed, endurance, and experience. When you weigh all those factors, it's clear that Terence has quite a few advantages in his favor."
Much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo has.
Porter added, "Honestly, I think that fight would be fascinating. Canelo isn't the same fighter he was 3 or 4 years ago. I wouldn't say he's in rapid decline, but his career is definitely transitioning into a new phase.
Definitely not doing this. It hasn't done this in 2 or 3 years. So obviously it ain't a fast decline, but Canelo's certainly just not who he used to be. As Crawford, you imagine he's probably training at 160, which means his body's not foreign to being as high as 165.
And while Sean Porter may not be entirely sure whether Terence Crawford could ultimately emerge victorious, another of Crawford's former opponents holds a different belief. He's convinced that Crawford can indeed pull it off. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to TKO Edge for more knockout content. From fight breakdowns to real-time reactions, we've got it all right here. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strong, and keep your guard up.